The air is thick with the weight of your own heart, pounding, seething, a fire that threatens to consume you. There's a demon inside you, not the kind painted in old scrolls with horns and a wicked grin, but something far more insidious, something human, something you know too well. It's the anger that coils in your gut when someone disrespects you, the burning in your chest when the world bends against your will. It's the part of you that erupts, shattering bonds, clouding your mind, making you weak, and yet you feed it, don't you? You let it grow, thinking it's strength, when it's a chain around your soul. But what if there was a way to slay this demon, to walk through the fire with eyes calm as still water, while others scream and falter? Miyamoto Musashi, perhaps the most dangerous man to ever tread the blood-soaked earth of feudal Japan, did exactly that. He wasn't just a swordsman, he was a force, a war machine cloaked in silence, forged in the crucible of a world where a single misstep meant death. Over 60 life-or-death duels he fought, and not once did he fall. Not because he was the fastest, nor the strongest, but because he was untouchable, emotionless in battle. This is no myth, no samurai fairy tale. This is the story of how one man buried his anger and became a legend. And today, you'll learn his way. Let's start with a brutal truth. Anger doesn't make you powerful, it makes you a puppet. Every time you lash out, every time you explode, every time someone presses your buttons and you react, you're handing them the strings to your soul. You're showing the world exactly how to control you. Musashi understood this in a way most never will. Born in 1584, in a Japan torn by warlords and clan feuds, where samurai lived by the blade and honor was a currency paid in blood, Musashi saw anger for what it was. Not strength, but a chain, a leash, a reflex that made men predictable, manipulable, weak. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a stoic half a world away, wrote words that echo across centuries. When you are disturbed by external things, it is not they that trouble you, but your own judgment of them. Read that again, let it sink in. If someone can make you angry, they can make you do anything. You're not in control, you're a marionette, dancing to the tune of your emotions. Musashi cut those strings. He trained himself to be immune to provocation, to step into battle with the stillness of a monk gazing at a sunset. Insults, taunts, the clash of steel, none of it moved him. Not because he was born without passion, but because he refused to let it rule him. In the chaos of 17th century Japan, where samurai were as much philosophers as warriors, Musashi's discipline was revolutionary. The Sengoku period had just ended, leaving a fractured nation where loyalty to a lord could mean a blade in your back, and survival demanded more than skill. It demanded mastery of the self. Musashi's strength wasn't in his grip on the katana, it was in his grip on his mind. Real power, he knew, isn't how hard you strike. It's how impossible you are to provoke. That's what made him terrifying. Not his blade, not his stature, not his speed, but his unpredictability, his void. A man with no emotional triggers is a man you cannot manipulate, threaten, or break. In a world where daimyo schemed and warriors boasted, Musashi was a shadow, untouchable because he had nothing to prove. That, my friend, is real power. There's a story, whispered among those who study the way of the sword, of the day Musashi killed his anger. He was barely out of his teens, a young warrior still forging his name in the brutal dueling grounds of Kyoto. His opponent was Arima Kihei, a swordsman of the prestigious Shinto Ryu school. Skilled, confident, draped in the formalities of samurai tradition, Arima expected a duel of steel, a clash of honor. Musashi arrived with nothing but a wooden bokken, a crude stick carved from an oak branch. Arima laughed, his voice dripping with mockery, taunting the young upstart. Most men would have snapped, thrown a fist, shouted back, let the insult ignite their pride. Musashi just watched. His eyes, cold as a winter stream, betrayed nothing, no rage, no flicker of doubt. Then, in a single fluid motion, he struck, hard, fast, final. Arima fell, lifeless, his pride bleeding out on the dirt. Musashi didn't scream, didn't gloat, didn't revel in the victory. He fought with the precision of death itself, a silent executioner. That day, he didn't just kill a man, he killed the part of himself that could be swayed by emotion. In the samurai code, where Bushido demanded loyalty and restraint, Musashi's act was a radical statement. True power lies in control, not chaos. Musashi didn't just wield a sword, he wielded his mind like a blade. He wrote in his Book of Five Rings, "Do nothing which is of no use." Anger, when not channeled with precision, is almost always useless. You think it fuels you in arguments? It exposes your weakness. You think it gives you an edge in conflict? It hands your enemies a map to your soul. They smile when you rage, because they know they've got you. The mind, Musashi taught, is like a katana. Let it rust with emotion, and it dulls. Keep it still, sharp, silent, and it cuts through anything. In the dojos of Japan, where students practice katas under the watchful eyes of masters, Musashi stood apart. He didn't seek perfection in form, but in spirit. His battles were won before the swords were drawn, in the quiet space where most men drown in their passions. To him, anger was a distraction, a dulling of the blade, a betrayal of the warrior's path. Now, let's make this personal. Why do you get angry? Someone cuts you off in traffic, their careless swerve a slap to your pride. A coworker dismisses your ideas, and you feel the heat rising in your throat. Life throws you a curveball, unfair, unasked for, and you clench your fists, demanding the world bend to your will. Here's the harsh truth, Musashi would thrust in your face. You get angry because you think you're entitled to control what was never yours to command. You believe the world owes you respect, that people should act as you expect, that life should be fair. Musashi would call this attachment, and in the Buddhist temples that dotted his Japan, monks would nod in agreement. Attachment is the root of suffering. Musashi lived with nothing, no lord, no clan, no illusions of control. He slept on the earth, ate what he could find, walked alone through a land where betrayal was as common as rain. By expecting nothing from the world, he became untouchable. No one could anger him because he had no stake in their games. Musashi's path wasn't one of suppression, but of transcendence, a deliberate shedding of illusions that most cling to like lifelines. He trained not just his body but his soul to be untouchable, forging himself in the fires of solitude and simplicity. And because of that detachment, anger had no foothold. Imagine living in a world where every slight, every injustice, every unmet expectation rolls off you like rain on a lotus leaf, a Zen ideal that Musashi embodied, drawing from the Buddhist teachings that permeated Japanese culture, where impermanence and non-attachment were not just philosophies, but survival strategies in an era of endless warfare. You don't conquer anger by venting into the void or pounding your fists in futile rage. You conquer it by sharpening your mind like a blade, carving away the excess until only essence remains. Musashi called this the practice of emptiness, a void not of absence, but of pure potential. Here's how he forged it, methods as timeless as they are transformative. First, voluntary hardship, the samurai's forge. Musashi slept under the stars, exposed to the biting winds of Mount Hiei or the relentless rains of the countryside, ate sparingly from what the land provided, shunned the trappings of fame and fortune that seduced lesser warriors. He believed comfort bred weakness, a soft mind easily pricked by provocation. In the spirit of ancient ascetics like the Buddha, who renounced his palace for the forest, or the Stoic Seneca, who practiced poverty to steel himself against loss, Musashi made discomfort his ally. Try it yourself. Strip away one crutch that cushions your life. Cold showers that jolt your senses awake, forgoing the sweet allure of sugar, silencing the endless scroll of social media. Whatever makes you uncomfortable, embrace it. Get hooked on the edge of unease, and you'll uncover the truth. Most anger is just spoiled entitlement, a child's tantrum against a world that owes you nothing. As you endure, curiosity blooms. What else have you been clinging to? What fires can you extinguish by simply letting go? Next, the power of no reaction, Musashi's silent shield. He would retreat into stillness for hours, days even, during his rigorous training in secluded dojos or wandering the wilds, observing the world without a ripple in his composure. Insults hurled like arrows, he let them pass through the air, untouched. In battle or banter, he became a mirror, reflecting back nothing but calm. Echoing the profound reflections of Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching, who taught that the sage acts without striving, responds without reacting, Musashi turned silence into a weapon. The next time, provocation strikes. A cutting remark from a colleague, a stranger's disdain pause. Don't retort. Don't defend. Don't even flinch. Just observe them, as if watching clouds drift across the sky. Feel the shift. Power flows to you, the unruffled one, leaving them flailing in their own storm. This isn't weakness, it's mastery, a self-control that unnerves opponents and draws allies. History whispers of figures like Gandhi, who faced colonial fury with non-violent poise, proving that stillness can topple empires. Musashi's void wasn't empty, it was alive with awareness, a space where decisions were born clear and lethal. Then meditate on death, the ultimate equalizer. Every dawn, as the first light pierced the horizon over rice fields or castle walls, Musashi contemplated his own end, not with fear but with acceptance. Why? Because a man intimate with mortality can't be shaken by lesser shadows. He wrote in his Dokudo, his final treatise on the solitary path, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Anger dissolves when death walks beside you as a companion, not a foe. What's a petty insult, a traffic snarl, or a bruised ego compared to the eternal void?" In the spiritual traditions of Shinto and Zen that shaped his Japan, where ancestors and impermanence were revered, this meditation stripped away illusions. It echoes Epictetus, the slave-turned-philosopher, who reminded us that death is not to be feared, for it comes when it comes. Make it your ritual. Each morning, reflect on your fragility, the fleeting breath of life. Curiosity will stir how trivial your triggers seem in that light, and courage will follow, a quiet resolve to live unbound by fleeting fires. At its heart, anger is ego in disguise, a fragile mask we wear to hide our vulnerabilities. You don't rage because the world is cruel. You rage because your self-image is assaulted. Pride bruised, worth questioned, identity dismissed. That's the spark. But Musashi pierced this illusion better than any. Ego, he knew, is a weakness parading as strength. Feed it, and you grow brittle, snapping at every wind. His remedy? Starve it, burn it, leave its ashes on the path behind. Musashi cared nothing for acclaim. He didn't parade in silken robes or court the favor of shoguns. He wandered as a Ronin, masterless and free, indifferent to praise or scorn. In a society where honored duels could erupt over a glance, he lived like a ghost, detached, unburdened. This mirrors the teachings of ancient masters. The Buddha's anatta, the no-self that eradicates suffering, or the humility of Christ, who washed feet and turned cheeks. Musashi didn't crave recognition because he understood, the more you seek it, the more chains you forge. Attach your value to others' views, and they own you. Kill the ego, and insults become mere echoes. Criticism turns to wisdom. Rejection fades to irrelevance. Anger? It withers, for there's no fortress left to defend. Reflect on this. In a world obsessed with self-promotion, where social media amplifies every ego's cry, Musashi's way is revolutionary. By shedding the need to prove himself, he became unbreakable. A warrior without pride to wound is the most fearsome, silent, unpredictable, sovereign. Imagine the freedom. No more defensive outbursts, no more validation hunts. Just you, centered in your own power, mastering the self like a blade honed to perfection. This is the path to true courage, a spiritual ascent where anger's demon lies slain at your feet. Let's seal this journey with the clash that etched Musashi's name into eternity, a duel that wasn't just a test of steel but a masterclass in the folly of fury. In 1612, on the rocky shores of Ganryu Island, where the sea whispered secrets of mortality and the wind carried the scent of salt and impending doom, Musashi faced Sasaki Kojiro, the Ganryu, a national icon, a swordsman whose elegance and speed had made him a celebrity among the elite. Kojiro wielded his legendary nodachi, the monohoshizao, a blade so long it could cleave a man in two with a single arc, his style a dance of precision honed in the courts of powerful daimyo. Musashi, ever the strategist, arrived hours late, rowing across the strait under a sun that baked the earth, not out of laziness but with cold intent to let impatience brew in Kojiro's veins, to turn his opponent's pride into poison. As Musashi stepped ashore, his weapon a makeshift bokken carved from a boat oar, longer even than Kojiro's sword, the air crackled with tension. Kojiro, seething from the insult of delay, boiled over, his face twisted in rage, his composure shattered like fragile porcelain. He lunged, furious, his blade whistling through the air. Musashi, calm as the depths of the ocean, waited, watched, then struck once. A calculated blow to the skull that felled Kojiro like a toppled oak. No frenzy, no vengeance, just inevitable end. In that moment, anger revealed its true face, a betrayer that blinds and weakens, handing victory to the still. Historians debate the details, some whispering of Musashi's psychological warfare drawing from Sun Tzu's art of deception, but the lesson endures. Rage is the grave you dig for yourself. This isn't ancient lore to be shelved. It's a blueprint for the battles we fight today, in boardrooms, on highways, across digital voids where tempers flare like wildfires. Musashi's way, the modern code, isn't about donning armor or swinging swords. It's about embracing the core that made him invincible. Emptiness, detachment, precision, silence. If you crave freedom from anger's grip, stop reacting and start observing. Let the world's chaos pass through you untouched. Stop expecting fairness or obedience from others. Detach and watch suffering dissolve. Stop screaming your truths. Sharpen your mind in quiet, where real power simmers. Remember, the quieter you become, the deadlier your presence. A truth that echoes in today's rage-fueled society, where social media amplifies every outburst, turning petty slights into viral storms, and road rage claims lives over mere lanes. Musashi would see our world and urge us, cultivate courage through spiritual discipline, master the self before the external. As he penned in his final days, retreating to a cave to author his wisdom before death claimed him at 61, the way of the warrior is resolute acceptance of death. When you no longer fear discomfort, when you cease demanding the world conform to your whims, when you gaze into the abyss and find peace, anger evaporates. Only stillness remains, only power, a profound reflection that ties back to ancient teachings, from the Bhagavad Gita's call to act without attachment to the Native American wisdom of walking softly yet carrying unyielding spirit. In this void, curiosity awakens. What if your next provocation is not a threat, but a test of your mastery? Surprise yourself, embrace it, and emerge unbreakable. Thank you for walking this path with me. If these reflections ignite something within, hit that like button, subscribe for more dives into the depths of self-mastery, and I'll see you in the next one.